Okay, my friend, my friend. It's your turn for your reading. You gave me your birth data, which is cool. I wanted to start by saying you have a really, really interesting birth chart because you have so many planets in retrograde. So this is just a really basic mock-up of your chart. So you've got Mars, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Uranus, I think that's it, all in retrograde. So you know how people talk about Mercury retrograde, they joke about it, yada, 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 and how things can kind of be a bit hectic at that time. The ancients, the sort of form of astrology that I kind of use, isn't really... They basically talk about planets in retrograde as being quieter, as having less effect or working less effectively than when they're moving or appear to be moving directly. So basically for you this is kind of good news because two of these planets are malefic planets. You've got Mars and Saturn, which are traditionally considered kind of the more difficult planets in the horoscope. So what we can see here is that in this sense, because they're both retrograde, they're less able to kind of have a malefic influence in your life, and in your life they're in the sector that relates to your ability to accrue wealth, your assets, your physicality, and basically the things that you own and your income. So because we've got malefic planets in that sector of the chart, it could be a problem, but because they're retrograde, they're not working as effectively as they might otherwise work. So I think for you, I'm going to say that's actually auspicious because coupled with that, you actually have, there are traditionally certain segments, certain houses in your chart that are less active and less auspicious houses overall, and that is the 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. And luckily for you, you have no planets in any of these three houses, which for me, coupled with these retrograde planets in a house that's actually quite an inactive house anyway, it kind of suggests to me that the other planets that you have in play are given more energy, have more sway over your life as a whole, which is really nice. So just a quick breakdown: you are a Taurus sun, your ascendant is Virgo, and your moon is also in Virgo. So I can see by this that you have a double earth, which means you're a really grounded person. You do things quite methodically. You like to sort of set your task and to achieve your task, and you're very good at following the steps to get there. Now, and also it means that you yourself appreciate the finer things in life. You have somewhat expensive tastes, and you in food, in your decor, your surroundings, you like to you appreciate the good things in life, but you also work quite hard for it, which we can see up here in your career zone. Now, sort of countering that is that you have Mercury up here at home in Gemini, in your house of your career and your sort of career segment, which shows me that you like to have a lot of things on the go. You can have a real sort of flight of ideas, which sort of is counterpoint to your tendency to be quite methodical, quite strategic, make a list, tick your list off, that kind of thing, and get things done. So the counterpoint to that is that you are an excellent communicator. You are known for being an excellent communicator. You are known for being quite, I would say that once you set your mind to getting your way in a situation, it goes your way, particularly in your career. And you're really in a career, anything that involves like deep strategic planning, analysis, anything that involves heightened communication with other people is really favoured for your career. You're also, the other aspect of your chart that's really active is the ninth house. The ninth house is all about, is really supporting this career house for you, because your sun's here and the lot of spirit. The lot of spirit is the segment in your chart that relates to your mental clarity, everything to do with your mind, and the area of your chart that's really that your mind is most active in. And in your chart, it's specifically overseas travel, but also anything to do with higher education and learning, which is obviously really important in your life. We know that that's a big theme in your life. That is really significant part of your life. So I'm just pointing that out because it's pretty cool when we can correlate that with what's actually happened in your life. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that Venus, which is the native planet to Taurus, is in the house of your intimate relationships, and it's well placed here in Pisces. So this shows me, I can see your overseas relationships here, because this planet is like basically having a conversation with this house of overseas in your relationship chart house. So I can see your overseas relationships here, the people from overseas, but it just also suggests that you do have that love of travel, that's important to you, but also that higher learning as well. What else was I going to say about all of this? All right, so I will say that this year, probably around July last year, around there, these little symbols are your nodes. Now, this north node traditionally is an area of your chart that is kind of like being sort of at a higher vibration, and this area in your chart is your socialization, where you have your close friendships, your cooperation with other people. It can be your colleagues as well, and so this is showing me in your chart that this is a really active part of your chart. It's vibrating at a really high level. So your friendships and associations with your close friends and colleagues is really important in your chart, and it's actually the ruler of this house. The moon is in your ascendant, so and they're having a relationship as well. This placement here, this geometry here, having this relationship shows me that this is really central to who you are. Your friendships are really central to who you are, and in the last year since July, this really would have been because the transiting planets and the transiting places in the sky at the moment, what I've like plotted here on the outside, and it's basically come into alignment where it is when it was when you were born, but also where it is now, this north node. So it's showing me that right now, this is like been since July last year when it got here, this has been a really important part of your life, but I think that's actually about to transit out now. It's right at the end, so that north node's going to move up into the 10th house, which is your house of career, as of, I can't quite tell you when it is, but it's not too far off, because right now it's right at the end of its transit, like it's right near this line actually. So probably in the next few months, give or take, that's going to shift up into this house of your career, and the energies around your career are going to be, it's going to be a theme, okay, a theme of focus theme. Now, what was I going to say? So when it's your birthday this May, your horoscope, like your natal chart, not all of your planets are necessarily operating with as much intensity at the same time throughout your life, okay? Each year a different segment of your chart is activated. This year on your birthday, the third house is activated, and in the third house it's ruled in your chart by Scorpio, and the ruler of Scorpio is back here in the second house, which is the house of your income, whatnot, so and your assets. Okay, so there will be that will be a theme in your life this year, your assets, your income, how you go about making your income. Now, we do have Mars in retrograde natally for you there, so it's not a really active placement, but it will be a significant placement for you this year. So there will be a focus around your assets this year, how you make money, particularly because it's being activated by this third house, which is the house of communication. I can see that work and your income at work and how you communicate at work is going to be a significant theme this year. I think that's what I was going to say. So that is the energy around that this year. Can't remember where Mars is at the moment, but I'm just having a look at what is the transit to that. Oh yeah, so we've got so we do have Saturn over here at the moment in the 6th house, which is our house of health and well-being, but also the things that we do on a daily basis. So that is making a fortunate geometric, it's having a fortunate geometric relationship over here with this house, but it's not necessarily a favorable planet. So in terms of your assets and income this year, there could be, I don't feel as though it's going to move backwards, but there could be just kind of some stagnation around it actually moving forwards. There could be a few barriers that pop up to any kind of rise or progress that you're trying to make in terms of amassing your income or your assets. So that's just something to look out for. I don't think it's going to go backwards. It's just that it's not going to move as it's not going to really expand so much this year. Yeah, and speaking of Saturn over here, what I was going to point out is that Saturn here in this house is actually making a kind of crappy geometric shape with Uranus, which is actually transiting up here in your house of international travel. So if you have international travel planned for this year, it's, I mean, like everybody else, it's not going to go ahead. So there's going to be some kind of, you know, delays around that. Yeah, I mean, it's what's going on for everybody at the moment, but it is specifically in your house of international travel, and in your house of what you do on a day-to-day basis. They're the guys who are talking to each other, and so Saturn is actually like all about restrictions, authority, boundaries, limitations, and Uranus is all about unusual events, unexpected events. So yeah, if you had travel planned this year, that's just, yeah, that's not gonna happen this year, international travel. Having said that, you may actually be asked to do some travel, unexpected journeys that you weren't really thinking about or that you hadn't planned. They might be sort of shorter journeys because this house down here is actually activated. The one that's activated is like short-term journeys. So with this kind of relationship, with this unusual turn of events in this house, you might actually be asked to do some unexpected short-term, short distance travel, or some unexpected kind of repetitive travel that you hadn't really planned or thought about. Yeah, so I think that's what I wanted to say about that. Otherwise, overall, you have a really, in my opinion, like quite an auspicious chart. Yeah, all these retrograde planets are kind of annoying, but they're not really planets that, with the exception of Jupiter, which shows me, a retrograde Jupiter here shows me that your relationship with your siblings isn't necessarily as kind of expansive or what's the word? It's not it's not as expressive or as I don't know, as it may otherwise be if that planet wasn't in retrograde. Okay, so I think that's what we've got there, which has given me an idea, you know, just something to work on for this reading. So yeah, career in general, your career, doing the right thing, it's all kosher, it's all go ahead, like, yeah. You know, career is all about, for you, it's all about communication, strategy, negotiation, being quite linguistically sort of like adept at, I would say sometimes you're even quite good at using your skills, your how would I say it? You're good at getting people to do what you want them to do without them realizing that they've kind of agreed to do it. That's what I'm going to say about that. Yeah, so anyway, let's move on. What I want to do first of all is just go through the major cards and get a sense of kind of an overriding energetic theme for this reading for you for the year ahead. All right, and it's the moon. Okay, that's interesting. So the moon naturally is about intuition. It's also about the looking at the kind of doing like some inner, looking at the kind of the shadow side of things. Jung would have talked about looking into the subconscious this year. So you may either be confronted by sorry, I don't have COVID. I've just been talking a lot. So you may this year be asked or required to do some internal sort of dredge up a few subconscious kind of issues that you may otherwise tend to avoid. It may be, you may actually like kind of have some quite vivid lucid dreams going on, but it's really also asking you to kind of like just consider the other side of the equation almost. It's giving you an opportunity to look at, you know, we think about the dark side of the moon, it's still there even though we can't see it. So in your day-to-day life, at work, that kind of thing, you can probably make some real progress this year if you consider the dark side or the other side or the hidden side of an issue. Okay, so that's actually a pretty cool card to have, I would say, because you can do a lot of work with that, and it's the kind of work that you can do that doesn't necessarily require other people to be involved. I mean, they can be, but it's the kind of thing that you can do in private in order to gain power, basically. So if your career is what you're thinking about, that could be a good card to have right now. All right, so let's start. I'm just going to lay out the cards in a circle that actually are going to mirror the, it's like it is a horoscope that I'm laying out. So where each of the cards lay relates to each of those segments in your life, like each of those segments on the horoscope and your life, okay? So let's get this going. It's interesting that you have that kind of combination of being very earthy, very grounded, with that Gemini and Mercurial influence in your career zone. Okay, alrighty-o, the Tower. Okay, so we've got the Tower in the house of you, yourself, and I. So I'll just put him there. The Tower is all about tearing down false foundations, really. And when it comes into a reading, it's telling you that if you can take the time out to identify where those false foundations may lie, you can actually do the dismantling yourself rather than have it sort of happen at you. Gives you a level of control over that. So we'll just keep moving forwards and start to build up a picture. Right, we've got the Hierophant, so the High Priest, in your second house. So this shows us that you are considered quite wise and a guide to other people in your in terms of your financial, like your income and your assets. You have great wisdom around that area, and people see that. So you also may be called on to engage those aspects of yourself, because that is your active house this year. Or it may just be that you can actually, if you want to get advice from somebody regarding your finances, it's there for you. You can draw on someone with quite a lot of wisdom around that, and knowledge, someone who's quite adept in that area. But let's keep going. Someone in authority, actually, someone who you actually, okay, so someone with authority. All right, so we've got the Four of Swords, which is about mental stability. So that's in your third house, around communication. So that's the house that's being activated this year when your birthday happens. So we've got some just sort of like stable ideas here, stable communication there. Let's keep going. All right, so we've got the Queen of Wands in the fourth house. So the Queen of Wands, she's about patience, about nurturing your energy. So you might actually be just called on to just have some patience around something that you want to enact, particularly if it's something to do with your family, like your family of origin, or it could actually be it could actually also relate to just your internal, like the part of you that you hide from other people, the part of you that's not as obvious to your colleagues and whatnot. So patience and nurturing. So we'll just see how this all moves together. Let's go to the fifth house. Four of Cups. So in your fifth house this year, which at the moment is where we've got Jupiter and Pluto and the South Node. The fifth house, we've got the Four of Cups, and that's showing us some emotional stability, and that's the house that we look at, your creative output. So nothing, I feel like, and that actually does relate to that planetary placement at the moment. Nothing is going to, you're not going to be producing anything, any great creative change at the moment, right now. It's not going to be like this great sort of like, you're not going to release your opus, let's put it that way. But emotionally, what you have done and what you have produced, it's satisfying to you. It's fulfilled an aspect of you that you value, something that you've created. Something that you created has it's very satisfying, emotionally satisfying, and it's brought you some it's actually provided a platform for you as well, a foundation for your future creative endeavors, particularly in the workplace and in terms of like cooperative endeavors. sixth house, we've got the King of Cups. So in the sixth house, if you, it's relating to somebody who's water sign, so Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. In the sixth house, so your health, your well-being, your day-to-day, somebody just giving you like some emotional stability. Someone's who probably someone with that sign is who's in your life day-to-day, is just providing you with some emotional guidance and emotional support, being there for you, and they're supporting your well-being. Alternatively, it could be that you're actually like focusing on somebody's well-being who is a Cancer, a Pisces, or a Scorpio, and you're sort of like, that's taking up some of your time. Let's keep going. Seventh house. All right, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. All right, so there's a new, in the house of relationships, there's a new, with your partner, there's a tearing down of some kind of foundation with you personally, and in your relationships, there's a new beginning, like a new sort of beginning to do with like work, or to do with finances, to do with just the materiality of life, like your material reality, basically. So let's have a look. What's this got to do with? So if there is some, no, what is that? It could be that your partner has begun a new business venture, actually, and has, or is considering a new business venture. There's like a new inspiration here to a new way to make money. Yeah, and let's have a look. We'll keep going. All right, we'll go to the 8th house. Ooh. Okay, we've got the Hermit in the 8th house. Now the Hermit is, oh, okay. Just hang on a sec, I need to turn the light on. Does that help? Maybe. Does that help? The Hermit's all about introspection, taking time out from the world around us, and looking at our priorities and looking at our internal processes, and looking at gaining wisdom, really, just taking time out and gaining wisdom around a situation. Now the Hermit's in your house of shared finances, so this relates to your income with your partner, and the 8th house is also about new beginnings, transformation, change, like quite significant change. It may also be, this may also relate to your, because it relates to other people's money as such, it can relate to inheritance. But I would say that because you've got the Hermit here, in this case, you might be considering, I had this yesterday as well, this may be, not the same card, but this may have to do with superannuation, just sort of like considering what you're going to do with your money in that regard. But it could also just be like, you know, doing some introspective thinking about how you're going to manage that at the moment. But I feel like it's just more to do with just evaluating your shared, you know, your income with your partner. That may also relate to the Hierophant down here, where you may be called on to be more of a guiding force relating to this, because you just have a different kind of elevated or heightened, more intuitive understanding of money, which makes sense because you've got Taurus, Taurus Sun and Virgo Moon, and they're both like really fiscal signs, very good with their money, very good with planning what to do with your money, planning for the future, being sensible about your finances, that kind of thing. So you may actually be involved in that kind of situation at the moment, which may relate also to this new business endeavor to do with your partner. Yeah. Alrighty, you've got in the 9th house, which is your house of travel and higher education, wisdom, learning, broadening your horizons, that kind of thing. You've got the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune tells us that things have changed for you in this area of your life. You're sort of like riding a bit of a wave at the moment, just going with the flow with this cycle that's happening. So I would say that has to do with basically that what I was talking to you about travel before, like putting a hold on this international travel, if you're planning international travel this year, which everybody's sort of like had to put a hold on anyway, but it's sort of doubly significant in your chart at the moment. But it also might relate to what we were talking about down here with this, this kind of mental, this kind of like, not stagnant, but this, what is it? It's kind of a, an entrenched idea or an entrenched mindset about some kind of I don't know. I don't think it's to do with travel. I think it's this, let me see, the Wheel of Fortune relating to that. I definitely say that, I mean, basically, while it's on hold at the moment, if you've got international travel coming up, I do feel as though there is some kind of like these little short-term travel arrangements that could be coming up for you. Short-term, but also short-distance travel, which could actually be some kind of, often this relates to like tweets, like communication, like short but repetitive communication in the media. So like if you release some kind of communication on a regular basis, like a periodical or something like that, so if that's kind of something that's going on in your business zone at the moment, in your work at the moment, if that's some kind of project that you're thinking about, like advertising or communication, like via Instagram or Facebook page, or just something that comes out all the time. It's regular, but it's not like, it's informative and regular, something to do with that. But yeah, the Wheel of Fortune up there, I feel like that was more to do with this. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune up there, yeah, you can't travel right now, but you will. It's just, you just got to put it on hold. Things come and go. All right, what have we got? The 10th house, you've got the 3 of Wands. 10th house is your house of career. So, 10th house, 3 of Wands. And you had the Queen of Wands down here. Career. I feel like just in general with your career at the moment, you're just biding your time a little bit. You have to be patient before you can create this new there's like an urge to create something new within your career. There's an urge to get something off the ground. You have to be very patient at the moment and kind of nurture that along a little bit. It is there to happen, but it's just not quite ready to take off yet. And I think that is basically relating to, oh shit, yeah, it's just not quite ready to take off yet, but you have this idea about it and there's like an enthusiasm around it, but you just need to be a little bit more patient. It's just not quite ready. But the thing that it is quite an interesting idea, quite a clever idea. And that relates to this this Four of Cups down here in your house of like your creative output, where I was saying, like, you've achieved something down there. There's been like something that you're satisfied with having achieved, and you want to now kind of enact this up here in your workplace, and you've got this like kind of creative inspiration to get this off the ground, but you just kind of have to wait a little bit to get that going. So you got to be patient. Yeah. All right. So in the 11th house, we had the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands means that you've come to the end of a cycle in your in the workplace with your colleagues, or in some kind of social setting. And there's been like great success here. There's been mental dexterity. There's been like a lot of like agile thinking around this. A lot of this is on the axis with this card as well that I was just talking about. So yeah, there's been a project that's come to a completion. It was, successful. There's a lot of thinking that went into that project. It is a workplace project, but it could also be to do with your friends, but I think it's like colleagues actually. Yeah, and so now you're ready to start a new project, which could relate to what I was talking about down here with these like tweets and this kind of like little periodical sort of like almost like news updates or media releases or something like that, it feels like. You're ready to start something new and fresh with that. The foundations are there for that. You've worked on that. I think that could also be why you've got this card up here in the career zone, to get this creative endeavor off the ground. So yeah, still intrigued why you've got the Tower in the house of you. I'd ask you just to like be conscious of your health at the moment. All right, and in the 12th house, you've got the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups is about an emotional journey. Now, it's in your 12th house, which can be quite a difficult house, and it's opposing the 6th house, which is also quite a difficult house. And it's interesting that you've got cups in both of those houses, and cups to do with people, specifically people. So if you've got a water sign around you at the moment who's kind of draining your energy or taking a lot of your time, sort of like causing you to have to really employ all your emotional intelligence, then this would make sense to have these cards here. There is a little bit of, it's almost like, it feels a little bit draining for you to be in that zone, and it's actually draining your, it's really drawing on your own emotional stability to kind of navigate this situation, and it's making you, this is definitely more of like a personal thing. It's not as much to do with your career or work. This is definitely a personal issue. It may relate back to the moon, actually, because the moon is also a card, the Ace of Cups, definitely. Some kind of like new path. You need to go down some new pathway or some kind of new adventure with your partner. Some kind of new, it's like, let me think. There may be some kind of triggering going on because we've got the moon here, and yeah, she relates to Cancers, Scorpios, and Pisces. But like I already said as well, she does sort of like activate our subconscious. So you may be sort of feeling a little bit triggered in your relationship at the moment. And it may be like a little bit distracting, may feel that way, or you in turn might be sort of like triggering that person. Either way, it's just something that I would be aware of in your relationship, and just kind of consider both parties and the feelings of both people involved in this, kind of particularly at this really tricky time that everybody is experiencing communally. And it's, it's an opportunity for you to develop perhaps different parts of yourself that you're not really comfortable with looking at, or to confront those parts of you initially and then to work on those a little bit. Which might relate to why you have the Tower in your house of who you are. There could be, the moon might be suggesting that it's time for you to just to do some soul searching around this, to look at what your relationship is founded on, and you may actually be tested a little bit. The foundations of your relationship might be tested a little bit, or even just the foundations of, you might actually just be questioning yourself a little bit at the moment. Having put in quite a great deal of work into your intellectual endeavors, you may sort of be, kind of just confronted with some kind of change up. All right, let's look at strengths, obstacles, and opportunities. Okay, so you've got the Page of Wands. So you do have an opportunity to, that you're, let me see, strengths. Your strengths are that you, well, there might be somebody around you, a younger person who's a fire sign, so an Aries, an Aries, a Sagittarian, or a Leo. They might actually kind of give you some emotional support right now, or give you some kind of like buoy up your energy a little bit, like reactivate your energy a little bit if you're feeling like that it's lagging a little bit. But also, that part of you. You don't have a lot of fire in your chart, actually. So don't really think it's so much to do with you. I think it's somebody around you that you can actually draw on, and they can show you new ways of being. They can invite you to look at different perspectives in things, and to explore different activities. That might be what you need at the moment, some kind of like revitalization, actually, and you're quite good at that. Like, you can kind of tap into that in your community, in your friendships and everything. Just this kind of revitalization, which I know is hard at the moment, but you know, you've got a network around you that that will support you. Obstacles at the moment. Can you see the cards? It's dark, eh? Hang on, let me put on a bigger light. No, edit. Is that better? Oh, now they're kind of glaring, but that's better. Obstacles. Oh, what was that? Start. All right, so obstacles is guidance. Feeling a little bit lacking in clarity around an issue, lacking in inspiration around something, just kind of feeling a little bit as though you're not quite sure about a pathway or a direction. It's kind of not coming to you, or it's not as apparent as you would like it to be. There's just a little bit of clarity that's not there, or you're not feeling as though you have somebody in your life to kind of help guide you through some situation. And this is where you need to like tap into the other side of the moon there, or into you know, these other sides of things, because you actually might be the guide that you need. And opportunities coming up. So this is what's going on right now, okay? Opportunities. Oh, holy crap. All right, opportunity to create something new with your partner, okay? There's an opportunity here to reinvest in this and to work together and to create some kind of freshness in your relationship, really, to build on what you already have, okay? To build up your relationship, and do so in a creative way, an unusual way, and something that's going to kind of give both of you something to invest in and work together. So that's an opportunity coming up, all right, coming your way. That's the opportunity there. So let's just do a quick breakdown of the actual month-by-month breakdown of the year ahead. We'll start in, what's the date? I don't know. We'll start in April, so we'll just go for the rest of this month. April. All right, Ace of Swords. So opportunity this month, or for the rest of this month, to begin a new way of thinking, there might be some kind of new idea that comes to you, something in the environment that's going to inspire the pursuit of a new something that's going to come to you, that's going to inspire a new, I really feel like it's a new perspective, change your perspective around something, because we've got it here sitting on top of the tower. And I think that you personally might have to sort of change the way that you're thinking about something if you want any kind of sense of peace, or any kind of sense of just contentment, actually, just to kind of regain this your internal equilibrium a little bit. That's April. May. Holy. All right, May, there's a change up in your financial situation. There's a change up in your work, or what you're doing at work. Yeah, which is sitting on top of the Hierophant here. So in May, if you want to ask somebody that you consider somebody with some kind of authority over you, or somebody whose value you really, whose opinion you really value about what's going on for you financially, about your investments, about your assets, that kind of thing, there is a change up around that next month. So it might be time to think about that. May, June. Holy crack. All right, June. We've got the Fool. So the new beginning, stepping out into, all right, that's interesting because it's sitting in this communication zone, which is all activated for you right now. So this is all this about this new idea, new idea. So June, an opportunity to take a leap of faith. You may be inspired to actually look for a new job. And people around you might think that you're nuts, like what are you doing that for in this climate? But it's really important for you, because I feel like it's almost like you're not seeing opportunities ahead for you right now in terms of how you're applying your ideas, and that's really important for you in your workplace. So if by June you're looking at taking a leap of faith here and putting it out there, applying for new jobs, looking around, or even starting something up yourself, go for it. Don't listen to other people's negativity around that. It's the time to try and to take that journey and to back yourself. July. Okay, the Queen, another Queen, a Queen of Pentacles. So this does show me you've got two Queens down here, the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. So you're being really patient. You're being asked to be really patient about your where you channel your energy and your finances. Okay, so you're being asked to be patient around your workplace. You just got to nurture this on a little bit more. Also could be, I'd say, because you've got a Taurus sun, and I think this is actually you. It's not a woman in your environment. It's actually you. Yeah. Just nurture this idea that you have. It may feel like you can't implement this idea at the moment, and it's quite frustrating for you because you know it's a good idea, and I think it has to relate to this creative thing that you did. Yeah, you've got the Strength card here by August. So by August, you're going to be given an opportunity to exert your authority, and you're just being reminded to do so in a really not restrained way, but to be really responsible about how you use your authority, about how you use your position over other people. So that's by August. September. September. The Seven of Wands. So by September, just being successful in some kind of activity that you're involved in. This is your day-to-day activity. So just reaping some rewards at work, feeling like successful with what you're doing. Nothing too dramatic there by September. having some kind of success in that zone, in your work zone, I think. Day-to-day activities. Could also just be that energetically you're feeling really good. You're feeling quite like vital and healthy within yourself. In September, it is kind of springtime, so, you know, just feeling like reinvigorated and all that kind of thing. October. Oh, October. Okay, the sun. So by October, all right, this is interesting because it's on top of the house of your partner. So if your partner is actually looking at doing this new kind of business venture or something, or starting some kind of new income stream or something like that, nurture that. Encourage your partner to nurture that, because it's of value, not just to you guys but to other people as well. People will recognize the value in that, and it will actually help other people to kind of grow as well, but particularly your partner, but and in relation to that, you as well. The knock-on effect will be good, and it will be a successful venture. So that's by October. November, the Ace of Cups. Okay, so it's up here on top of the Hermit. By November, it looks as though this financial situation, this kind of thing to do with your investments or whatever it is, has begun a new cycle, and it's sort of settling down a bit. But I also think that if the month before your partner kind of follows through with this endeavor that they're considering, or this material kind of, this new kind of cycle in their own kind of way of making an income, it's going to actually kind of give them some, it's going to feel like a new kind of passion for them, it's going to be like a new passion and a new just this kind of new, this new kind of thing that they're really passionate about, really into, but it's going to like contribute to both of you guys' finances. December. What have we got? Justice by December. Okay, and that's up here with the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, and this is about so this is in the house of your overseas travel. So if you were planning some kind of overseas travel, by December that might be sort of actualized for you. You might see a good outcome from that, if it's been put on hold, which everything has been. So but also just in terms of your higher education, by December you might begin to see the outcome, like the reward for the hard work that you've put in with that. So this kind of like stagnation that you've been going through, this frustration or this like feeling of not being able to implement these ideas or advance at work, by December you may see some kind of, oh, that's interesting. It's directly on the axis of the Fool, where I was talking about if you're looking at applying for a new job or branching out or doing something different, it's a good idea to go ahead with that. So by December, I feel like the outcome to that is going to be, you're going to be kind of rewarded, and there will be, it'll be a good outcome for you. It's going to actually also give you a sense that all the different disparate parts of your life are kind of coming together a little bit better. There's more like of a equilibrium around everything that you're doing, in terms of just all the different parts of your life. It's January. Okay, January. All right, beginning new energy, new. Okay, you could actually get some kind of new job. Okay, by January, December, January, you've got a new beginning, a new energetic beginning, a new way to exert your energy. It's up here on top of the three of wands as well. So definitely your career is there is a new cycle beginning. There's a new cycle beginning in your career, definitely by January next year. And I feel as though it's going to give you the freedom to implement the things that you can't implement at the moment, and to really kind of get sort of, you personally will be reinvigorated by it as well through your career. It's just a matter of being patient, okay, and getting up to that point. February, you've got the 10 of Pentacles, which is cool because you also had the 10 of Swords up in the same position. So definitely the ending of the ending of one cycle, one financial cycle, and the beginning of a new financial cycle, which I think relates to this job prospect. Okay, and March. Holy shit, we don't need that many. March. Come on. Oh. All right. 8 of Swords. All right. So by March, you have, you feel as though, it feels as though mentally, you've been through the grinder a little bit this year. And by March next year, which I know feels like forever away, but by March next year, you're going to have this, feeling as though you've kind of been through an initiation of sorts, and at this stage you're just feeling as though these ideas, these perceptions, and this, if it's a project, some kind of mental project, it's all kind of like paid off. This idea that's been ignited has paid off, and you're feeling as though you're quite comfortable with how it's turned out, and that's like almost created this really strong new platform for you to launch off from into like a different sort of future with that. So that's by March next year. Okay, and strengths, obstacles, opportunities for the whole year ahead. Strengths. All right, the Queen of Cups. Again, with the Cups, this partner. If you know somebody around you who is a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, they're going to be really feel as though your strengths are the people around you supporting you, who you can rely on to give you, to kind of like bring you back down to earth, to help you kind of vent some of your energy, because you're in your head a lot, and you can actually neglect sometimes you can neglect your physical, like expending your energy physically. You can kind of neglect that side of things because you're so caught up in your head, because you're such a, your intellect and that kind of side of you is so pressing on your time. Obstacles. I actually just think that ouch, Yeah, anyway. Obstacles is the King of Pentacles. All right, so right, this is interesting. If there's somebody who you know who is a Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo, and who has some kind of authority over you, that person could be sort of blocking you a little bit this year, blocking your progress a bit this year. But it also might just be this kind of, because we've got the star underneath it, and I know that with all your earth in your chart, it could be that you're kind of blocking your own progress a little bit this year, because you're sort of not really, you're not investing the time out, the time away from what you ordinarily do, to kind of listen to your inner guidance, to connect with your inner guidance, because you're kind of so focused on your on the material realm. You're kind of neglecting more of the emotional and intuitive part of you, which also would make sense with this moon here. So if you can kind of really try to take the effort to tap into that part of you that's less logical, because you're a very logical person, like you're very logically oriented, you like facts, figures, references, that kind of thing. If you can just kind of like take some time out to, even if it's like meditating while you're walking, it doesn't need to be like this big ooga booga song and dance, you know, but if you can just take the time to tap into that, I think you'll find that you know what it is, the choice that you want to make, the decisions that you want to make are there for you to embrace. You just need to acknowledge and honor them, kind of thing. And I think that relates to this Fool card that you've got down here, and the Four of Swords in your communication sector, and relating to your employment as well, I think, this year. Opportunities, the Two of Swords, which shows me that you do have a choice this year about, you're going to be offered an opportunity this year, and it is going to be an opportunity to it will be an opportunity to build up this some kind of intellectual endeavor. But there's a choice around that. But the opportunity is there. But there's definitely a choice around that. I would say for you this year that it's really all about exploring a few unknowns, just being open to their existence, and in whatever realm, but just kind of like being open to the existence of alternatives, and recognizing that they have their own beauty and power as well, and that they can bring quite significant and profound value to your life. Yeah, I think that's kind of the overall message I want to leave you with. Anyway, namaste, and thanks for that. If you have any questions, just get in touch and it's all good. All right, cheers, bye.